Happy New Year, debtors and borrowers, and welcome to Bankruptcy Bailout, because debt ruins lives, not bankruptcy. My name is Matt Burkus. I'm a Colorado-based bankruptcy, debt relief, and student loan relief attorney. And it's the new year, and I'm sure possibly one of your resolutions is to make 2023 a debt-free year or to get out of debt. So let's talk about the first option most people turn to, and that's debt consolidation. What is it? And should you do it? So let's have that conversation. So debt consolidation is somewhat of a mysterious term because there's really a couple different things that get lumped into that category of debt resolution. So let's talk about what debt consolidation is. Now, the first one is the obvious one, where you have, a bunch of debts over here. Let's say credit card debts, 2, 3, 4 credit card debts, and you borrow money from some other source and use those funds to pay off this basket of debt here. So you've taken these 3 or 4 debts and consolidated them into a single debt. So that's typical consolidation. And the only question is, well, what is the source of the funds you're going to use to consolidate it? Maybe it's another credit card from one of those convenience checks. Maybe you're going to get a personal loan, and maybe you're going to do what you shouldn't do, is use a home equity line of credit. But that's debt consolidation. In a nutshell. And I think that really only makes sense, one, if the combined debts are relatively small, let's say under $10,000, and can you really afford the payment, and are you getting any benefit out of it? But we'll circle back and talk about whether you should do debt consolidation here in a bit. The other type of debt consolidation is sort of a dark hole of scamminess. And those are the companies that label themselves as debt consolidation companies. Now, I've done another video where I talk about in depth what those companies do, and I'll link that video up here and in the description below. But in a nutshell, those companies are not consolidating your debts. What they're doing is collecting money from you because you're going to make a monthly payment for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. And then they're going to offer settlements to your various debts that you place with them. So if you owe Chase $5,000, the debt consolidation companies try to get enough money from you in order to offer Chase maybe $2,500 or $3,000 to settle that $5,000 worth of debt. The catch, okay, is that you're going to default on your credit card, right? Chase doesn't work with these programs. They're not making the monthly payment on your credit card. You're not making the monthly payment on your credit card, so you're going to be in default. So these debt consolidation companies sort of lure you in with the idea that you're consolidating your debt, but what they're really offering is debt settlement, and in order to motivate a settlement, you have to default on your debts, and then they try to offer lump sum settlements when enough money is available in order to pay off those and settle those debts. That's a bad option because if you're already at that point, you really should just pass go and go directly to bankruptcy because bankruptcy is going to get you out of debt a lot quicker, usually in 3 to 4 months, and be a lot less costly. And 9 times out of 10, most people fail out of these debt consolidation programs and end up filing bankruptcy anyway, but now they're 2-3 years down the road. All right, so you have debt consolidation loans or debt consolidation where you borrow money to pay off other debt. So that's a common feature for people with either a lot of credit card debt, maybe they have some medical bills and they just get a loan or use a credit card to pay off the medical bills. Obviously, debt consolidation is a big thing with student loans, but we're not really talking about student loan consolidation for this video. So should you do debt consolidation? I think the first rule that you have to carefully consider is, can you stop incurring new debt? So whatever reason or whatever purpose you have behind the debt that you want to consolidate, can you stop incurring new debt? All right? And be honest with yourself about this, because most people turn to debt consolidation because they're starting to struggle with the monthly payments, right? That's the main catalyst that pushes people towards considering debt consolidations. They want to lower the monthly payment to make it more affordable, but that means you're struggling with the monthly payment and you're in a very precarious financial position. So you have to be able to stop incurring new debt, or the debt consolidation is really pointless. Because all you're going to do is, you may take your $600 worth of credit card payments, get them down to maybe $450 in debt consolidation, but does that $150 extra a month allow you to not incur additional debt when an unexpected expense arises? Okay, so first consider it, can you stop incurring new debt? And are the terms, short-term and long-term, of the debt consolidation loan better? It's not just a factor of the interest rate. Okay, so yeah, you may have a basket of credit cards with 18% interest, or 12 to 18% interest, and you go get a debt consolidation loan that's maybe 6 to 8% interest or whatever they are. That's a lower interest rate, but if you have that debt for 5 years, you might actually be able to pay off your credit card debt sooner than that, and that would be less expensive. So you might do something like what they call a debt snowball instead. So sometimes a debt snowball can actually be more cost effective than a debt consolidation loan, because a debt snowball might get you out of debt faster. If you don't know what that is, a debt snowball is basically where you take your credit card's debt, or one option of it is you take your credit card debt, rank them by interest rate, highest interest rate first, devote as much money as you can toward the monthly payment on that highest interest rate card, and pay the minimum payments on all the other cards. And then once you're done paying off this debt, whatever monthly payment you were paying towards that high interest card, you devote that now to the second card on the list, and so forth. So you just keep compounding, and you can actually, if you stick to it and you plan and you really can devote extra money to the monthly payments, you can get out of debt pretty quickly with a debt snowball. Pretty quickly being maybe a year or 2 years. All right. And so, but anyway, so do you have better rates? Obviously, the interest rate is going to be lower. Are there ultimately better terms? That usually relates to the length of the loan. I wouldn't recommend debt consolidation just for convenience, right? Unless it's student loans, but the convenience of just having one debt over multiple debts by itself is not a good enough reason to go the debt consolidation route. The one thing you should not do, well, among other things, but the one thing you should not do is use your home equity as a debt consolidation tool. That's a big mistake. You never really want to take unsecured debt and turn it into secured debt, because then you're limiting your options if you get into another financially precarious position. Because once it's secured debt, you can't offload that in bankruptcy. The only option you have is to sell your house, okay, or refinance your mortgage. So don't use a home equity line of credit to consolidate debt. That's what got a lot of people in trouble back in the housing crisis in 2008. Is they were getting second mortgages and HELOCs to pay off credit card debt, but then they were violating rule number 1. They kept incurring new debt. They couldn't stop incurring new debt. The other problem with using a home equity line of credit, all right, well, the recommendation I make for home equity line of credit is you only want to use that for something that's going to increase value to you. Okay, so if you're going to use it to remodel your house or do something with your backyard, that's actually a pretty good use, because you're going to increase the value of your house, so you're getting a benefit out of that. Now, obviously, you may not want to use a home equity line of credit for things like opening a business or investing in the stock market, as that has much higher risk, but you get the idea. You really only want to use home equity line of credit to increase value to yourself, not use it to just consolidate debt. To sort of make things easier for you. And then lastly, is the payment actually affordable? I mean, because debt consolidation really doesn't reduce your payment that much. So if you are struggling with the payment already, you need to take a hard look and be like, look, if I'm having trouble making $600 or $800 a month payments, if I reduce that payment by $100 or $200 a month, is that really enough to stabilize your financial position? All right, so to recap the rules, can you stop incurring new debt? Are the terms going to be better, both short-term and long-term? Don't use a HELOC, and is the payment ultimately going to be affordable? So, I don't typically recommend debt consolidation unless the debts are relatively small. And what I'm talking there is maybe $10,000 or less. Again, I'm not talking about student loans here. I'm talking about credit cards, payday loans, medical bills, things that consumers might want to sort of consolidate it for, again, for convenience and for better terms, those type of debts. Definitely stay away from debt consolidation companies. Please watch my video on that issue, really, because they're only offering debt settlement, and there's a whole parade of horribles that goes along with those, because you're going to default on those credit cards, and that's going to get on your credit report, and you're going to have all these bad accounts and years of missed payments if you go to debt consolidation companies. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. My name is Matt Burkus. I'm a Colorado-based bankruptcy and student loan relief attorney. I offer free initial phone consultations to the residents of Colorado for the purposes of bankruptcy, and I offer paid consultations to student loan borrowers anywhere in the country to talk about their student loan issues and options for dealing with whatever situation they're in. Best of luck to you.